What happens when a motorcycle company decides it's no longer satisfied with competing and instead wants to completely dominate the luxury touring world? You get the 2026 Indian Pursuit, a machine so advanced, so powerful, and so unbelievably refined that it's forcing the entire touring motorcycle industry to pay attention. The moment you see it, you realize this isn't just another big American bagger. This thing looks futuristic, aggressive, and premium in a way that almost feels unfair. Massive frame-mounted fairings, sculpted bodywork, integrated storage, and a road presence so commanding it practically owns the highway before the engine even starts. But here's the real shock. It doesn't just look expensive, it rides like something from another category entirely. In a world where luxury touring bikes often feel heavy, outdated, or overloaded with unnecessary gimmicks, the Pursuit somehow delivers power, comfort, and technology in perfect balance. And once you experience it, one question becomes impossible to ignore. Did Indian just build the ultimate American touring motorcycle? At the heart of the 2026 Indian Pursuit sits the incredible Power Plus engine, and honestly, this is where the entire motorcycle changes the game. Unlike traditional air-cooled American V-twins focused purely on low-end rumble, the Pursuit's liquid-cooled motor feels modern, refined, and brutally capable. Twist the throttle, and the response is immediate, smooth, powerful, effortless. The engine builds speed with a level of confidence that makes highway overtakes feel almost too easy. And unlike older touring bikes that start feeling strained at higher speeds, the Pursuit feels calm and composed no matter how fast the road opens up. That's what makes this engine so dangerous to competitors. It combines classic American character with modern performance. You still get the deep V-twin personality riders love, but now it's paired with refined power delivery and real high-speed capability. It doesn't just cruise highways. It dominates them. And once you experience that level of smooth torque and effortless acceleration, many traditional touring bikes suddenly feel outdated. What if one of the most classic cruisers ever made quietly returned, smoother, darker, and more refined than ever before? Meet the 2026 Honda Shadow Black Spirit 750, a motorcycle that doesn't chase attention, but somehow earns it anyway. At first glance, it looks familiar. Low stance, blacked-out styling, clean lines. But look closer, and you'll realize this isn't just a throwback. This is Honda taking everything riders loved about the Shadow and refining it for a new generation. And here's the shocking part. It's not trying to compete with high-performance cruisers. It's not trying to overwhelm you with technology. Instead, it focuses on something far more important: balance. Smooth power, comfortable riding, and an experience that feels effortless from the moment you start the engine. So the real question is, did Honda just perfect the everyday cruiser? Or is this simply nostalgia dressed up in modern styling? Because once you ride it, you might start to understand why simple still wins. Let's talk about the heart of the 2026 Honda Shadow Black Spirit 750, because this is where its magic really begins. Powered by a 745cc liquid-cooled V-twin engine, this bike isn't about aggressive power. It's about smoothness. The kind of smoothness that makes every ride feel effortless. Twist the throttle, and instead of a sudden burst, you get a steady, controlled flow of power that builds naturally. It's predictable, it's refined, and it's incredibly satisfying. This is the kind of engine that doesn't demand your attention. It earns your trust. Whether you're riding through city traffic or cruising on the highway, it delivers exactly what you need without any drama, and that's what makes it so special. It's not trying to impress you with numbers, it's trying to make your ride better, and honestly, it succeeds. What if one motorcycle could give you classic cruiser style, real-world comfort, and head-turning attitude without costing a fortune? Meet the 2026 Suzuki Boulevard C50 Boss, a machine that's quietly becoming one of the biggest surprises in the cruiser world. At first glance, it looks far more expensive than it actually is. Blacked-out styling, deep cruiser proportions, and that unmistakable low-slung stance instantly make it look aggressive, modern, and premium. But here's the crazy part. It's not just about appearance. This bike delivers an experience that feels far bigger than its price tag suggests. And that's exactly why riders can't stop talking about it. In a world where many cruisers are becoming heavier, more expensive, and overloaded with technology, the Boulevard C50 Boss goes back to basics in the best possible way. It focuses on what riders actually care about: smooth performance, relaxed cruising, reliability, and style. But the real question is, did Suzuki just create the perfect everyday cruiser? Or is this secretly one of the smartest motorcycle buys of 2026? The heart of the 2026 Suzuki Boulevard C50 Boss is its 805cc V-twin engine, and this is where the bike immediately wins people over. This engine isn't designed to intimidate, it's designed to feel good. The power delivery is smooth, predictable, and incredibly easy to enjoy. Twist the throttle, and you get a steady wave of torque that feels natural from the very first ride. There's no sudden aggression, no complicated riding modes, no overwhelming power spikes. Just smooth cruising performance delivered exactly where you need it. And honestly, that's what makes it brilliant. This bike doesn't try to impress you with extreme horsepower numbers. Instead, it creates confidence. Whether you're cruising through city streets or relaxing on an open highway, the engine feels calm, refined, and dependable. The deep V-twin rumble adds character without becoming obnoxious, creating a sound that perfectly matches the bike's personality. It's not trying to be the loudest cruiser on the road, it's trying to be one of the most enjoyable, and in many ways, it succeeds better than bikes costing twice as much. What if a motorcycle could deliver the comfort of a luxury car, the road presence of a custom show bike, and the soul of a classic American cruiser, all at the same time? Meet the 2026 Indian Roadmaster Elite, a machine so premium, so refined, and so outrageously impressive that it doesn't just compete with other touring bikes, it humiliates them. The moment you see it, you know this is something special. Massive fairings, handcrafted paint, gleaming details, and a stance that radiates pure authority. But here's the twist. It's not just beautiful, it's brutally capable. Indian didn't build this bike to be ordinary. They built it to dominate highways, command attention, and redefine what luxury touring should feel like in 2026. In a world where motorcycles are becoming more focused on technology and performance specs, the Roadmaster Elite does something smarter. It focuses on the experience, the feeling, the emotion of riding. But the real question is, did Indian just create the greatest luxury touring motorcycle ever made? Or has this machine gone so far beyond expectations that it's become something entirely different? At the heart of the 2026 Indian Roadmaster Elite sits the legendary Thunderstroke V-twin engine, and this is where the magic begins. The moment you start it, the entire motorcycle comes alive with a deep, rich rumble that feels unmistakably American. This isn't about screaming horsepower or race-inspired aggression. This is about effortless torque. Smooth, commanding power that pulls with authority at any speed. Twist the throttle, and the response feels immediate yet refined. There's no drama, no sudden surge, just an endless wave of torque that makes highway cruising feel completely effortless. And that's exactly what this bike was built for. Long roads, endless horizons, real touring. The engine doesn't fight you, it works with you. It's smooth at cruising speeds, confident during overtakes, and surprisingly relaxed considering the size of the machine. And the sound? It's pure emotion. Every pulse from the Thunderstroke reminds you this isn't just transportation, it's an experience. A rolling piece of American engineering that values character as much as performance. And once you experience that kind of power delivery, smaller touring bikes suddenly feel incomplete. What if one of the most underrated cruisers suddenly came back, stronger, smoother, and ready to challenge the giants? Meet the 2026 Suzuki Boulevard C90T, a motorcycle that refuses to be forgotten. At first glance, it looks like a classic touring cruiser. Big fenders, wide stance, and that unmistakable road presence. But don't let that familiar look fool you, because Suzuki didn't just bring this bike back, they refined it. This is a machine built for riders who want comfort, reliability, and real-world performance without the drama. And here's the twist. It doesn't try to compete with flashy, overpriced touring bikes. It does something smarter. It focuses on what actually matters. Smooth power, long-distance comfort, and effortless riding. So the question is, did Suzuki just create the perfect no-nonsense cruiser? Or is this the comeback nobody saw coming? Let's talk about the heart of the 2026 Suzuki Boulevard C90T, because this is where its personality truly comes alive. Powered by a 1,462cc V-twin engine, this bike delivers exactly what cruiser riders crave: torque. Not aggressive, not overwhelming, just smooth, steady power that feels natural from the moment you twist the throttle. This is the kind of engine that doesn't rush, it flows. Whether you're cruising through the city or rolling down the highway, the power delivery feels effortless, and that's what makes it so enjoyable. You don't need to push it hard to have fun. It's always there, always ready, always smooth. And the sound? Deep, classic, and unmistakably cruiser. This isn't about speed, it's about the experience. What if the ultimate touring machine didn't have 2 wheels, but 3? Meet the 2026 Indian Roadmaster Trike by CSC, a motorcycle that completely rewrites what it means to ride in comfort, power, and total control. At first glance, it looks massive, almost unreal, but that's exactly the point. This isn't built to blend in, it's built to dominate the road. With its wide rear stance, luxury touring setup, and unmistakable Indian styling, this machine feels more like a rolling throne than a motorcycle. And here's the twist. This isn't just for comfort, it's for confidence, stability, effortless long-distance travel without the balancing act of 2 wheels. But the real question is this the future of touring, or is it something even more extreme? What if the ultimate touring machine didn't have 2 wheels but 3? Meet the 2026 Indian Roadmaster Trike by CSC, a motorcycle that completely rewrites what it means to ride in comfort, power, and total control. At first glance, it looks massive, almost unreal. But that's exactly the point. This isn't built to blend in. It's built to dominate the road. With its wide rear stance, luxury touring setup, and unmistakable Indian styling, this machine feels more like a rolling throne than a motorcycle. And here's the twist. This isn't just for comfort, it's for confidence, stability, effortless long-distance travel without the balancing act of 2 wheels. But the real question is this the future of touring, or is it something even more extreme? What if a forgotten legend suddenly came back, stronger, bolder, and ready to dominate the streets again? Meet the 2026 Suzuki Intruder C1500BT, a name that once ruled the cruiser world, now reborn with a shocking twist. At first glance, it looks familiar, classic, timeless. But look closer, and you'll realize this isn't just a comeback, it's a statement. Suzuki didn't just revive the Intruder, they reimagined it for a new generation of riders. This is a machine that blends old-school muscle with modern refinement in a way that feels almost too good to be true. And here's the crazy part. It doesn't try to compete with flashy, high-tech cruisers, it does something smarter. It goes back to what matters: power, comfort, and pure riding experience. But the real question is, did Suzuki just bring back a legend? Or did they create something even better? Let's talk about the heart of the 2026 Suzuki Intruder C1500BT, because this is where things get serious. Underneath that classic cruiser body sits a massive 1,462cc V-twin engine, built for smooth, effortless torque. This isn't about chasing high RPM thrills. It's about that deep, satisfying pull that defines real cruising. Twist the throttle, and you feel it immediately. A strong, steady surge that pushes you forward without hesitation. It's not aggressive, it's commanding, and that's what makes it so addictive. You don't need to push it hard to enjoy it. The power is always there, always ready, always smooth. And the sound? Pure V-twin character. Deep, rich, and unmistakably classic. This is the kind of engine that turns every ride into an experience. What if your next motorcycle didn't look like a motorcycle at all, but something straight out of a sci-fi movie? Meet the 2026 Honda NM4 Vultus DCT, a machine so futuristic, so unconventional, that it feels like it shouldn't exist on public roads. The first time you see it, you don't just look, you stare. Low, stretched, aggressive, with sharp angular bodywork that looks more like a stealth vehicle than a cruiser. This isn't evolution, this is rebellion. Honda didn't just design a bike here, they broke every rule in the book. And just when you think it's all about looks, you realize something even crazier is happening underneath. Fully automatic dual-clutch transmission. Relaxed, almost lounge-like riding position. Integrated tech that makes it feel more like a cockpit than handlebars. This isn't about chasing speed or competing with traditional bikes. It's about creating an entirely new experience. Something bold, something different, something unforgettable. But here's the real question. Is this the future of motorcycling? Or is it a machine that's simply too far ahead of its time for most riders to understand? Let's talk about the design, because honestly, this is where the 2026 Honda NM4 Vultus DCT completely shocks the system. There is nothing subtle about this machine. Every line is sharp, deliberate, and unapologetically futuristic. The bodywork wraps around the bike like armor, giving it a low-slung, almost armored appearance. From the side, it barely even looks like a motorcycle. It looks like something you'd expect to see in a cyberpunk film. The seating position is equally wild. You're not perched on top of the bike, you're sitting inside it. Feet forward, back supported, arms relaxed. It's closer to a lounge chair than a traditional riding posture. And that changes everything about how it feels on the road. This isn't about aggressive riding positions or leaning forward. It's about comfort, style, and presence. And when you roll into traffic on this thing, people don't just notice, they react. Phones come out, heads turn, conversations start. Because bikes like this don't come around often. It's not just a motorcycle, it's a statement. What happens when a legendary muscle bike comes back? But this time, it's completely unhinged. Meet the 2026 Yamaha VMAX 1700 V4 turbo engine, a machine that doesn't just push boundaries, it obliterates them. If you thought the original VMAX was wild, this version takes everything to a level that honestly feels illegal. We're talking about a V4 engine, already known for brutal power delivery, now paired with a turbocharger that transforms it into something borderline uncontrollable. This isn't evolution, this is a full-blown revolution. The moment you hear that turbo spool up, you know you're dealing with something special, something dangerous, something that was never meant to be ordinary. And the craziest part? It still carries that unmistakable VMAX DNA, muscular, aggressive, and built to dominate anything that dares line up next to it. This isn't a bike for everyone. This is for riders who crave adrenaline, who want something raw, something extreme, something unforgettable. So the real question is, did Yamaha just create the most insane muscle bike of 2026? Or did they go too far this time? Because once you see what this machine is capable of, you might start to believe that some bikes simply shouldn't exist. Let's talk about the heart of this beast, because this is where the 2026 Yamaha VMAX 1700 V4 turbo engine becomes absolutely terrifying. The original VMAX was already famous for its 1,679cc V4 engine, delivering explosive acceleration and a power band that hit like a hammer. But now, add a turbocharger into the mix, and everything changes. Suddenly, you're not just dealing with raw engine power, you're dealing with forced induction madness. The moment the turbo kicks in, the bike doesn't just accelerate, it launches. There's a surge, a violent push that feels like it's trying to rip your arms off. And unlike naturally aspirated engines, this power doesn't come gradually, It builds and then explodes. The boost hits, and everything around you starts to blur. This is the kind of acceleration that makes superbikes nervous. The kind that turns straight roads into adrenaline-fueled runways. And yet, somehow, Yamaha has engineered it to remain controllable. At least, to a point. Because no matter how much technology you add, there's no fully taming a turbocharged V4 like this. It's wild, it's unpredictable, and that's exactly what makes it so addictive. What if one of the boldest chopper-style cruisers ever made suddenly returned and still managed to shock everyone in 2026? Meet the 2026 Yamaha Raider S, a motorcycle that doesn't follow trends, doesn't play safe, and definitely doesn't try to blend in. The moment you see it, you know this isn't your average cruiser. That long, stretched front end. The aggressive rake. The low, muscular stance. It looks like something straight out of a custom garage, but it's factory built. And here's the shocking part. It still feels relevant today. In a world full of modern tech-heavy bikes, this machine goes back to something raw and visual. So the question is this old-school chopper design making a comeback? Or is this just a bold reminder of what motorcycles used to be? Because once you see it in motion, you might realize this bike still has a lot to say. At the heart of the 2026 Yamaha Raider S is a massive 1,854cc air-cooled V-twin engine, and this is where the attitude comes from. This engine isn't about high-revving performance. It's about deep, low-end torque that delivers a strong, satisfying push every time you twist the throttle. The power comes in early, smooth, and steady, making it perfect for cruising. This is the kind of engine that doesn't rush. It just moves with confidence. And that's exactly what this bike is built for. What if the most outrageous power cruiser ever built somehow became even more refined without losing its insanity? Meet the 2026 Triumph Rocket 3 GT, a motorcycle that doesn't just dominate the road, it completely redefines what a cruiser can be. At first glance, it looks massive, muscular, and almost unreal. That gigantic engine, that aggressive stance, it doesn't look like anything else on two wheels. But here's the shocking part. This isn't just about brute force. Triumph has taken all that extreme performance and wrapped it in a package that's actually comfortable, usable, and surprisingly refined. And in 2026, it feels more complete than ever. So the question is this the ultimate power cruiser? Or is it simply too much for most riders to handle? Because once you experience what this machine can do, everything else starts to feel ordinary. At the heart of the Triumph Rocket 3 GT 2026 lies a massive 2,500cc inline 3-cylinder engine, and it's every bit as extreme as it sounds. This is one of the largest production motorcycle engines ever made, delivering immense horsepower and staggering torque. Twist the throttle, and the response is immediate and forceful, pushing you back with authority. Yet, despite its size and output, the power delivery feels controlled and refined, rather than chaotic. Triumph has engineered this engine to be usable, not overwhelming. It's not just about speed. It's about delivering power in a way that feels smooth and predictable. This balance between brutality and control is what makes it so unique, turning every ride into something memorable without sacrificing confidence. What if BMW decided to take everything they know about precision engineering and turn it into a dark, aggressive cruiser? Meet the 2026 BMW R18 Black, a motorcycle that doesn't just challenge American cruisers, it goes straight after them. The moment you see it, you know this isn't a typical BMW. The massive boxer engine, the stretched silhouette, the blacked-out finish that gives it an almost sinister presence. This is not subtle. This is BMW making a statement. And here's the shocking part. It's not just about looks. Underneath that bold design is a machine built for serious riding. Smooth power, advanced engineering, and a level of refinement you wouldn't expect from something this muscular. So the question is, did BMW just create the ultimate premium cruiser? Or is this a bold experiment that tries to do too much? Because once you start looking closer, things get very interesting. Let's talk about the heart of the 2026 BMW R18 Black, because this is where it truly stands apart. That massive 1,802cc boxer twin engine isn't just big, it's iconic. The horizontally opposed cylinders give it a unique character, both visually and mechanically. Twist the throttle and you feel a deep, powerful surge of torque that arrives low and strong. This isn't high-revving performance, it's about effortless power. Smooth, controlled, and incredibly satisfying. And that signature boxer movement? You feel it. A subtle shift that reminds you, this engine is alive. This isn't just power, it's personality. And once you experience it, it's hard to forget. What if the most insane production motorcycle on the planet just got even bigger, even more powerful, and even more unbelievable? Meet the 2026 Triumph Rocket 3R 2500, a machine that doesn't just break the rules of motorcycling, it completely destroys them. The moment you hear 2500cc, you already know this isn't normal, this isn't a cruiser, this isn't a naked bike, this is something else entirely. A mechanical monster built for one purpose, to dominate everything in its path. And here's the crazy part. Triumph didn't tone it down, they pushed it further. More power, more torque, more attitude. This is the kind of bike that makes even experienced riders stop and think twice. So the question is this still a motorcycle? Or has it become something else entirely? Because once you understand what this machine is capable of, there's no going back. Let's talk about the heart of the 2026 Triumph Rocket 3R 2500, because this is where things get absolutely insane. A massive 2500cc inline 3-cylinder engine sits at the center of this beast, delivering numbers that feel almost unreal. We're talking about over 180 horsepower and an insane level of torque that hits instantly. Twist the throttle, and the bike doesn't just accelerate, it launches. This isn't gradual power, this is explosive, immediate force that pushes you back with authority, and yet, somehow it's still smooth, controlled, refined. This is engineering at its absolute peak. Triumph didn't just build a big engine, they built a usable one, and that's what makes it so dangerous and so addictive. What happens when a legendary American icon decides to stop playing safe and go all in on power, luxury, and presence? You get the 2026 Harley-Davidson Street Glide CVO Special, a machine so bold, so refined, and so unapologetically premium that it doesn't just compete, it dominates. The moment you see it, you already know this isn't a standard touring bike. This is Harley at its absolute peak. Custom Vehicle Operations, CVO, means one thing: no compromises. Every detail, every finish, every component has been pushed beyond what you'd expect. And here's the shocking part: it's not just about looks. Because underneath that jaw-dropping exterior lies a machine engineered to deliver one of the smoothest, most powerful touring experiences ever created. In a world where motorcycles are becoming more digital, more complex, and sometimes more disconnected, Harley does something different. It blends tradition with innovation in a way that feels real. But the real question is this the ultimate luxury bagger? Or has Harley taken things so far that it's entered a completely different category? Let's talk about what truly defines the 2026 Harley-Davidson Street Glide CVO Special, the engine. This isn't just any V-twin. This is a Milwaukee 8 powerhouse tuned for maximum torque, smooth delivery, and effortless highway performance. The moment you fire it up, you feel it. That deep, unmistakable Harley rumble that resonates through the entire machine. But this isn't just about sound, it's about how it moves. Twist the throttle, and the response is immediate yet controlled. There's no rush, no chaos, just a steady, commanding surge of power that builds with confidence. This engine doesn't scream for attention. It earns it through presence. It's designed for long-distance cruising, for rolling through highways with authority, and for delivering a ride that feels both powerful and refined. And that balance is what makes it special. It's not overwhelming. It's perfectly controlled power, the kind that makes every mile feel effortless. And once you experience it, it's hard to go back to anything less. What if a cruiser wasn't built for comfort, but for attitude? What if it wasn't designed to blend in, but to completely dominate every street it touches? Meet the 2026 Stryker SE, a machine that throws away tradition and replaces it with pure, unapologetic aggression. The moment you see it, you know this isn't your typical cruiser. Long, low, stretched and dripping with custom-inspired styling, it looks like it rolled straight out of a concept show floor. But here's the crazy part. It's not just about looks, this thing actually backs it up. In a world where most cruisers focus on comfort and touring, the Stryker SE takes a completely different path. It's built for presence, for impact. For riders who don't just want to ride, they want to be noticed. And that's exactly what makes it so interesting. Because while other bikes try to be everything at once, this one focuses on one thing: delivering a bold, unforgettable experience every time you twist the throttle. But here's the real question. Is this the ultimate modern cruiser? Or is it simply too extreme for its own good? Because once you start digging deeper into what this bike offers, things get a lot more interesting. At the heart of the 2026 Stryker SE lies a V-twin engine that perfectly matches its aggressive personality. This isn't a high-revving, high-strung motor designed for track performance. This is raw, low-end torque, delivered in a way that feels immediate and deeply satisfying. The moment you twist the throttle, you feel that surge. Not explosive, not uncontrollable, but strong, steady, and undeniably powerful. It's the kind of engine that doesn't rush you. It pulls you, smoothly, confidently, and with a sense of purpose that defines what a cruiser should feel like. And that's where the Stryker SE stands out. It doesn't try to overwhelm you with numbers. It focuses on delivering a riding experience that feels real. The throttle response is direct, predictable, and incredibly enjoyable, whether you're cruising through city streets or opening it up on a long stretch of road. And the sound? Deep, throaty, and unmistakably V-twin. It's not just noise, it's character. Every pulse reminds you that you're riding something mechanical, something alive. And in today's world of increasingly refined machines, that kind of raw connection is becoming rare. What if one motorcycle could combine aggressive bagger style, long-distance comfort, and unstoppable highway power into one machine and actually pull it off? Meet the 2026 Kawasaki Vulcan 1700 Vaquero ABS, a cruiser that doesn't just ride the road, it owns it. At first glance, it looks like a pure custom bagger, low, stretched, and undeniably bold. But don't let that sleek silhouette fool you. This bike isn't just about looks, it's built for serious touring performance. And here's the twist, it might just be one of the most underrated long-distance machines in 2026. In a world dominated by flashy luxury cruisers and tech-heavy tourers, the Vaquero takes a different path. It focuses on raw presence, smooth power, and real-world comfort. But the real question is, did Kawasaki just quietly create one of the best baggers on the road? Or is this the hidden king nobody is talking about? Let's get straight to the heart of the 2026 Kawasaki Vulcan 1700 Vaquero ABS. because this is where things get serious. Underneath that bold exterior sits a 1700cc V-twin engine designed for one purpose: effortless power. This isn't about high revving performance, it's about deep, commanding torque that makes every ride feel smooth and controlled. Twist the throttle, and the response is immediate but never overwhelming. It builds power in a steady, confident way that feels perfect for long-distance cruising. Whether you're overtaking on the highway or rolling through open roads, the engine delivers without hesitation, and that's what makes it so addictive. It's not trying to impress with numbers. It impresses with how it feels: smooth, strong, and incredibly reliable. This is power you can trust. What if one of Suzuki's most iconic cruiser names suddenly returned, sharper, smoother, and more dangerous than ever before? Meet the 2026 Suzuki Intruder M800T, the motorcycle that nobody expected to make a comeback, but now that it's here, it's impossible to ignore. At first glance, it carries that unmistakable Intruder DNA. Long, low, muscular, and unapologetically bold. But look closer, and you'll realize this isn't just a nostalgic revival. This is Suzuki, taking everything riders loved about the original and rebuilding it for a new generation. And here's the shocking part: it might just be one of the smartest cruiser comebacks we've seen in years. In a market crowded with oversized, overpriced machines loaded with unnecessary tech, the Intruder M800T does something completely different. It strips things back to what really matters: style, comfort, reliability, and pure riding satisfaction. But the real question is, did Suzuki just create the perfect middleweight touring cruiser? Or is there something even more surprising hiding beneath that classic silhouette? Let's start with the soul of the 2026 Suzuki Intruder M800T, its engine. Beneath that sleek cruiser body sits an 805cc V-twin power plant, engineered to deliver smooth, accessible torque exactly where riders need it most. This isn't about overwhelming horsepower figures or aggressive top-end rush. This is about confidence, predictability. The kind of smooth, steady pull that makes every twist of the throttle feel natural and satisfying. From the moment you roll away, the engine responds with a deep, controlled surge that feels instantly familiar. It's not intimidating, it's inviting. And that's exactly what makes it so appealing. Whether you're cruising through city streets or stretching its legs on open highways, the power delivery remains refined and consistent. The V-twin rumble is deep enough to remind you you're riding a cruiser, but refined enough to feel modern. This engine doesn't scream for attention, it earns respect through balance. What happens when a motorcycle stops trying to fit in and starts demanding all the attention instead? The 2026 Harley-Davidson Breakout 114 doesn't just enter the scene, it explodes into it. This isn't a subtle cruiser. It's not trying to please everyone. And that's exactly why people can't stop talking about it. The moment you lay eyes on it, something clicks. This bike isn't built for compromise. It's long, it's low, it's aggressive in a way that feels almost excessive. And yet, that excess is exactly the point. Harley-Davidson didn't design this machine to blend into the background. They built it to dominate it. But here's where things get interesting. Beneath that bold, almost intimidating design lies a motorcycle that's far more complex than it first appears. Riders who expected style over substance are starting to realize there's something deeper going on here. Something that challenges the idea of what a cruiser should be. And that's raising a serious question across the riding community. Is this the ultimate expression of Harley attitude, or is it something entirely new? Because once you start looking closer, the 2026 Breakout 114 begins to reveal layers that most people never saw coming. And trust me, what's underneath might surprise you more than the way it looks. Let's be honest. Design is where the 2026 Harley-Davidson Breakout 114 hits hardest, and it doesn't hold back. Everything about this bike feels exaggerated in the best possible way. The stretched wheelbase, the massive rear tire, the raked-out front end, it all comes together to create a silhouette that looks like it was pulled straight out of a custom show, not a factory line. And yet, it's real, it's rideable, and it's turning heads everywhere it goes. But here's the part most people miss. This design isn't just about looks, it's about presence. When you ride this bike, you don't just move through traffic, you own the space around you. Every stoplight becomes a stage. Every glance from a passerby reinforces the same idea. This is not a normal motorcycle. And that's exactly what Harley wanted. They didn't just build a cruiser, they built an experience that starts before the engine even fires up. But that kind of bold design comes with a question. Is it all show, or is there real substance behind it? Because in a world where style can sometimes overshadow performance, the Breakout 114 has a lot to prove. And as it turns out, it's more than ready for that challenge.